Hola, cage fighting connoisseurs. This is Kidney at
Hola,
BloodyElbow.com. Never sure when YouTube is starting, but Eugene knows when to start razzing me.
it's like Westworld. Hola, cage fight. Hola, cage fight. Hola. Okay. Reprogram Kid Nate. Reprogram
How
him.
many of our viewers do you think have any idea what Westworld is? Was there even a remake in the
Hey,
last
do you guys
15
know
years?
what Westworld is? Anybody? Anybody know what Westworld here is here? Not a single
I know
person.
what Westworld
Yeah,
is.
and they're
Yes,
older
one
than our
guy.
Oh, hell
audience.
yeah.
One guy. He's
Best
over.
movie of all time.
He's over 40.
Yeah. I remember it only because of the Mad Magazine parody of the great Yul
Yep,
Brynner's
you Brenner.
part
That's right.
a
Right.
robot cowboy. All right, so we are here for the UFC 183 Care Don't Care preview. I'm Kid Nate at BloodyElbow.com, joined by Eugene S. Robinson of Aussie.com, Vice's Fightland, and the author of Fight. Everything you ever want to know about getting your ass kicked, but we're afraid you get your ass.
No! Everything you want to know about asking him, but afraid to get your asking for asking.
What'd I say?
Getting. You put getting in there.
Ah, too many gerunds. It's always been a
No
handicap.
gerunds.
All right. Before
Naming on the
Eugene gives us
gerunds.
a disclaimer, remember to give us a like on YouTube, subscribe to MMANation.com, follow us on Twitter at KidNate, at Eugene S. Robinson. Eugene, hit us with a disclaimer.
For you crybabies and bedwetters out there who might be listening to the show, know that this has nothing to do with your fighting skills, talents, or abilities, but everything to do with the marketing heft of MMA giants UFC and how they pushed you and pimped you. Fight a great fight, and you'll move from the don't care column, but do not take this personally, crybabies and bedwetters. See, I got that in there twice.
I like that. I like that.
And in fact, we've had a steady stream of guys moving from don't care to care.
We have, and some of them we've even remembered that they a lot of guys I notch down. I'm going to care about this guy next time, and then I forget by the time his fight comes around.
Mr. Mr. Finland, love this guy now. Love this guy now.
Yep.
And
So
then there was another don't care that moved to the care column, and it was not Siciliano because I didn't really
That
care.
was definitely not Cecilia. Although he did paste Akira Corsani, so maybe he's getting a little closer. I can't remember. We're looking ahead. We're not looking back, Eugene. Let's focus
Hey,
here.
we're done with looking back, man. This is all
right.
about
This-
food, you know.
It's like a Barack Obama war crimes tribunal. We're looking ahead. We're not worried about who killed who or.
Hey, every single the Hutus and the Tutsis, the reconciliation. We're just forget about that. Forget about that.
It's in the past. Bush, Cheney, John Yoo, torture whoever you want, but if you snitch, you're going to jail.
You know what? My first rude awakening to politics in America, and I was paying attention to the news at this point when they pardoned Nixon. I was like, huh? What? How do? What the? And Gerald Ford said, look, it's time for healing. The country has to heal. I was like, really?
Yeah, that was some bullshit, and it set us off on our path where we are today. Regardless, the UFC is on a hell of a month. January 2015 is going to go down as one of the best months in UFC history, and this looks to be the capper, the cherry on top, or is it going to be the crapper, the turd on top?
Well, the thing that's funny with the UFC that they are much like Andy Grove at Intel said. You want to be your best enemy. You want to fill in every competitive space between your offer, and not let anybody else in. And you can see it. There was this tension with the UFC initially, right? That Don King tension of like, we're just gonna clip wings a little bit. We can't have these guys. We can't have John Jones be as big as John Jones is. We can't have dominant champ because then he start making demands and bending us around the pole. But you get dominant champs, you get great fights, you get big numbers, and I think the UFC is like, well, screw it. Maybe let's try this a little bit. Consequently, I think we've seen a little less of the bald guy, and I think we've seen a little bit more of like guys like John Jones,
Conor
McGregor. See, they're okay with guys being stars. I think mostly because they realize that these are self-correcting problems.
They need the cash. They've got loans to pay. They've got revenue to generate or their interest rates on their loan payments are going to go up.
Yep.
And so they've done what they had to do, and hats off. This has been one hell of a month of MMA promotion from the organization. And you are right about Dana White. We are seeing a lot less of Dana White. Some people say it's because of the lawsuits, that every time he opens his mouth, if you look at the case that those lawyers filed with the fighters, Kung Lee and whoever else, I can't even remember now. Who was it? The
Nate Quarry, Kung Lee,
John Fitch,
Carlos Newton, John Fitch.
Yeah. I don't think Newton's been named yet, but he's involved. But anyway, that lawsuit was like 90% Dana White quotes. So, I mean,
Yeah.
so they're reining him back. I mean, it's been fun while it lasted. It's great to have a guy who just runs his mouth and says whatever he thinks as the voice to the fans until there's consequences for said
Maybe,
comments.
I mean, like I call it the Don King model, but Don King was a pleasant enough presence unless you owed him money, and he was stomping you to death on the sidewalk.
He only did that once, as far as we know.
Yeah, as far as we know. But
And it might have been inside. I'm not sure it was on the sidewalk, Eugene. Let's be accurate in our
you're right.
kind of.
Maybe allegedly on the sidewalk in front of a club, but who knows? Maybe I'm just channeling Raging Bull. But there was clearly there was a point at which you realize how shallow the Don King offering was. I mean, I wasn't going to buy a ticket to Madison Square Garden to see Don King. I might ask him for his autograph on the street, but I actually had a business dealing with Don King once, which
Did you get your monies?
It collapsed. It collapsed in a swelter of money. But do you know this guy became as rich as he is by worrying about the nickels because it collapsed over nickels.
Wow.
When I was at Code Magazine, the idea was to partner with Don King Enterprises and do some T-shirts and some partnership deal. It literally fell apart over about $50.
There you go. You got to watch every penny if you're going to be rich.
Every penny, man. Every penny. So
you can't be slacking.
So I mean, I think there's probably. I mean, Dana still gets a cage side seat. I think he's probably grown up and adult enough to real. How many of us have had the same job for 10, 12 years, 15 years?
Not I.
He doesn't seem bothered by it. In other words,
Well, hard to say. We haven't seen much of him, so who knows? But he's a tough guy. He can always take his pain to the craps tables and spend a cool $500,000 in a night or two of gambling. So,
or he could cry himself to sleep on a pillow filled with hundreds. I mean, there's lots of things he could do. This is not a guy to feel sorry for.
No, definitely not. All right, so like he was exiled to some beautiful tropical island over the.
No, man, we're moving to the Roger Goodell era. It could just be a guy in a suit. I mean, Lorenzo and I guess between Lorenzo and Frank, it'll probably be Lorenzo. Pleasing enough.
Definitely Lorenzo, the CEO. Lorenzo Fertitta, the CEO of Zuffa.
Yep.
Frank more of an operator, but it seems like some of the other dudes have taken more of a step up, and now I can't even remember their names because that's how we do this show. No preparation, strictly off the top of our heads. Just two old guys gas bagging and winding it up.
Hey, I see what you're doing. You're giving a nod to these posters. You're going, these guys are that. You know what? I could fart right now, and it would be full of more MMA information than those guys are likely to get in a week.
It's true. We have put too much MMA in our brain pans for any sane person, but we're not going to.
I did fart just now, and there you go. All your MMA information in the past week.
Happily, it was a silent but deadly. I hope Dream Crusher and the whole gang there at the Surround Gym enjoys the scent. O'Day, Eugene. All right, we got three fights on the UFC Fight Pass prelim card. First up, middleweight Thiago Santos and Andy Enns.
I care.
Because
Andy Enns, right? Who
really?
Did he fight last?
I don't even know that he's been in the UFC.
How are you spelling his name?
ENZ.
Yeah. Who did he fight last?
I don't know. Let me pull him up. I don't even think you could have told me. Yeah, he's got 2 losses in the UFC: Clint Hester and Marcelo Guimaraes. So
okay, no. I don't know this guy.
Yeah, his nickname is Tank Mode.
Yeah, Tank Mode.
I
think that's why I remember, because I have my friends in that band, Ken Mode. I was like, Tank Mode. They should do a show together. But I
see. And Thiago Santos has been deeply dull, if I can remember correctly.
Yeah. So I don't care.
Yeah, no, we don't. We definitely don't care about this one. And let's see. Then the next one is middleweights Richardson Morea against Ildemar Alcantara. I care because it's an Alcantara brother.
Yeah, Alcantara. Yeah.
He's not Yuri though. This is the lesser.
Right.
Maybe he's the bigger, but the less good.
They're related.
Yes, they're brothers.
I'll always watch a brother fight.
A lot of guys are brothers, and you don't know their brother, Eugene. I mean,
Dan and Jim.
Those guys are tough. Frank and Ken.
It went
Ninja and Shogun.
Jake Shields, Clement. Incident Egan. I'm going back now.
You are Matt and Mark Hughes.
Ooh. Okay. Wait.
Behind the barn.
Wait. You got me. I can't trumpet. I can't.
You can't come up with another brother? Come on, Eugene. Come
Nick and
on.
Nate. Nick and Nate. Nick and Nate.
Of course.
Yep.
That was too easy. All right. So, yeah, Alcantara's 2 out of 3 in his last 1 for 2 in his last 3 fights, but he beat Albertino.
I like how the cut list has become an event now, you know.
Well, they're holding on to guys with all this competition from Bellator, and also they've got a lot of fights to fill out. Their dance card is booked, so they got, so it's getting harder to get.
What do you make of Scott Coker hanging out with Fedor?
I think he's just chasing every lead he can. He also might be trying to bait the UFC into all kinds of stupid stuff. The UFC, just cut a Russian TV deal. So Coker may have observed that anytime he talks to somebody like CM Punk or Crow Cop, the UFC swoops in and signs him. So maybe he's trying to, get him to spend some money. Maybe he's just out there scouting new talent. Maybe he thought he could get Fedor back. Hard to say. Coker's a savvy dude.
I don't know. So. You know what? The whole thing with Fedor is something, man. I'm not getting any. I'm not getting any fight fuel feeling from the guy.
I think he's done, man. I don't think he enjoyed.
Yeah, I'm not getting any passion for it. Like you look at Chuck Liddell, you see him standing, sitting and then standing cage side. You can tell if Dana would have said, "Hey Chuck, man," if he was to have a rocket
shadow boxing, he's Fedor doesn't give 2 shits.
No, it's
he barely cared when he was in there, and I don't think.
Well, at first I thought that was just a Russian thing, Oleg Toktarov, deadpan
stoicism.
Yeah, but I really got the sense that he would rather be somewhere thinking about Jesus.
Yeah, or his hot wife, or his troubled younger brother. Who knows what's on Fedor's mind? But speaking of brothers,
is Alex in jail?
Last I heard, he was, I believe, for assaulting a housemaid. It didn't look good. Also, there was some arrests for assault. Allegedly, again, all this is allegedly, some arrests for assaulting some fellow tavern goers in a bar, maybe an elderly gentleman.
That's got to be one of the toughest fucking jobs ever. Hotel maid, Yep. I've talked to hotel maids, and you know how often their proposition. It's got to be. It's like every day.
If you ever talk to anybody, it's like Kramer on Seinfeld recommending people to sidle up next to the proctologist at the party and just soak in the stories. If you ever talk to anybody in the hospitality business, bellboys, concierge, desk men, maids, sidle up and hear the stories. People are at their absolute fucking worst when they check into hotels and motels. If you're going to be a successful bellboy in an upscale hotel, you're going to need to know every drug dealer, every hooker, every bookie in that fucking town, because rich assholes are going to be wanting you to hook them up on the constant. It's just...
And limo drivers too, but the difference is limo drivers are well met. Limo drivers are like, it's actively soliciting. So, what are you doing tonight? I'm just going to the hotel, man. Hey, man, you like to cards? You like to? No, I don't need cards. I got cards. Women, men, I got whatever you want. I got. Okay, man.
Drinking, gambling, poker game. You like some poker?
Yep.
Yeah. It's a real classy game. Real classy, high-end guys, good players, fun guys, nice guys.
Hey, a friend of mine was in Vietnam and took a rickshaw. Right. Gets back to the hotel, and he noticed the rickshaw driver keeps taking progressively narrower and narrower streets. And he gets down this one street, and he sees some heads poke out of the alley and then jump back in. And he leans forward and says in flawless Vietnamese, he's a white guy, but he says in flawless Vietnamese, "Whatever happens to me is going to happen to you right after." And the guy stops the rickshaw, turns around, and goes out of the alley. I was like, smart man.
Yep. You got it. Can't be too careful. Don't trust no one, especially if you're in Mexico taking cabs. Although I think they've settled that down a tiny bit.
Man, if they can figure out that you're not from there, I was in Amman, Jordan, followed by guys in the souk. A friend of mine was in Barcelona, is a judo guy I know, followed by some. If they can make you for some guy who's not from there, you might as well have all of your money taped to your body. to the
Yeah,
outside of it.
Barcelona's a feeding frenzy too, because that big tourist area with the
Ramblas.
Ricard Monti and this, what's it called, the Ramblas.
Ramblas, yeah.
Ramblas, yeah, man. And I noticed that the gypsies were all talking to Russian guys,
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
kind of spooked me.
Yeah,
That was another thing I didn't like about living in D.C. Every not that I know, but I heard that all the titty bars in D.C. are like there's creepy Russian guys everywhere, and it just sucks the fun right out of it.
Yeah, I know. This when I was in St. Petersburg, Russia, doing color commentary for the World Valley Tudo Championship. Hookers would come to, strange enough, Hotel Moscow. You see them at the bar, and these were like some predatory. It just I was not. One of the refs was like, man, I picked up 2 last night. Took them back to the room. I was like, and you were not robbed or stabbed? You got your kidneys? It's like, yeah, I got it all.
And something extra to take home to life.
Take home with you. Yeah, right.
All right, well, that's enough vice and degeneracy for now. We're not even through the Fight Pass portion of the card. Featherweights, Diego Brandao and Jimmy Hedis.
Yeah, I've been paying attention to Brandao for reasons unknown to me. Who did he fight?
He kind of has crested and fallen, but I care about Brandao. He's the guy who's he lost to Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier in his last 2 fights.
That's right.
But no shame in those. I mean, he's getting fights like that. Before that, he was 4-1 in the UFC. So
and people need to understand when we say at least when I say care or don't care, I'm talking about flitting around the room doing this and that, and somebody says, "Oh, dude is fighting," and I actually stop what I'm doing and get up and then sit down and watch. That's what I mean, Kev. If the first 2 fights you say, so-and-so's fighting, it's like, yeah, and I'm taking a leak, I'm getting some carrots, I'm getting some hummus, I'm...
healthy snacks, Eugene. I'm proud to hear.
I'm trying to lose weight.
Still? I thought you were at a happy point in your light heavyweight.
I was down to 206, and then for the holidays I ballooned up to 220, and now I'm back to 216, so I got it.
Man, my holiday, I binged as hard as I could, and I only gained like a couple pounds, and I'm down not quite to my pre-holiday low, but within 3 pounds. So
you got to make with baked goods, buddy. Baked goods, pies and cakes and cakes.
There was family.
Walker's chocolate fucking factory over here.
Yeah, I had 2 whole weeks of family fun, which always entails too much crap around the house, but and just gorged myself. But whatever.
What you got to do is get people to start bringing you food, so you don't even have to walk to the kitchen anymore. That's when you're on the road to weight.
I was pretty excited the other day. I got my 6-year-old to bring me a beer from the fridge for the first time. It was
that's top class apex fathering right there.
That is. I did a lot of that.
Did you call it medicine?
No. There was no doubt about what it was, and I had to bring me the bottle opener too. I didn't. When I was his age, my brothers already had me trained to pop the bottle and bring it. Of course, they were drinking Bud out of the can, so I think I just had to pull the tab. But anyway.
Can do.
Yeah, this is back in the day. Anyway, all right. So we care about Diego Brandao and Jimmy Hedis. I even kind of care about Jimmy Hedis, but not that much. This card, frankly, is all about Anderson Silva and Nick Diaz, which is a big care, and we'll get to that soon enough. So, preliminary card: Fox Sports 1, 4 fights, middleweight: Rafael Natal and Tom Watson.
I care
because.
Both for Natal and Watson,
Me too. I care because Watson is always fun, and Natal, he's about to be a gigta on my care charts. Yeah. Like, this guy has put on a lot of stinkers and done a lot of laying and praying, and also a lot of bad kickboxing when he should be grappling. Yeah. I don't know, but I care.
Like that guy who I interviewed on Knuckle Up, he's made his guy in New Jersey staked his claim as being a transition specialist. And because he analyzed the fights. He was like, "Great, you're great in Muay Thai, you're great in wrestling, great in boxing, but you're not great picking when to go from one to the other." That's what I help with. I was like, that's all right, man.
That's a good angle. I hope he doesn't steal our term phase shifting, which I coined and all that.
Did you? No, I think it's Trinity MMA, if I remember correctly.
I see.
No, I don't think he has phase shifting. That's pretty good.
Yeah, isn't it? I coined that. So remember, as you hear that more and more often bubbling out.
And I'd like it to stake my claim again. I did it on Knuckle Up. I'll do it now. Drive-through rehab. Eugene S. Robinson's drive-through rehab.
You need to trademark that one. And speaking of Knuckle Up, we didn't even mention your claims of having a perfect picks on the card when everyone watched this show knows you picked Gus.
never in any of my. I must have been drunk when I was on your show, or humoring you.
At 8:30 in the morning your time, right
Never.
there in the gym.
Yeah, I was all tanked up on pain pills last week, so I don't know what. On my show, Knuckle Up, I called it the way I've always believed it, which was that there was no. And I explained why, and it kind of was at the nexus of southern manners and mores, but there's no way. There was no fucking way, you know.
Yeah,
And the way Gus kept looking by the guy, it was like, man, you are asking for trouble.
I think that was the tell right there, and also that Gus had a bad year. But as you know, I picked Rumble also, and I wish I had bet on Rumble because boy was he an underdog, and some people made some money on that one. And it seems, in retrospect, these things always seem obvious, but what are you going to do? Anyway, Rafael on the towel, Tom Watson, we both care. I care because Tom Watson's fun. Maybe he'll extinguish.
And I enjoyed his golf game quite a lot as well. So
back in the day, loved a soothing Sunday afternoon, sitting there with my mom, napping on the couch, listening to the shudders, the polite applause.
I tell you that's the thing I disdain most about being an adult, man. I don't have days like that anymore. I don't none.
I don't either. That never happens. I think it's got to, when the kids get out of the house, those days will return. I think. Maybe.
My oldest just turned 18.
Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. 16 and 13-year-old, but still. All right. See you. Yes,
How rough are the teen years? How rough are the teen years as a father of daughters?
Yes.
Hey.
Yes, that's okay. I got it. The guy.
Talk to me.
Yeah. No, being a father of two daughters, it's not bad, man, because I've had them train in MMA since they were 4 or 5 years old. So I'm not so much worried about, real world dangers. I think they could pretty much handle. Like my middle kid went to a country music show, and you can imagine that I was trying to warn her before, and
get the rednecks, get the crackers in packs. They get up and eat.
This 19-year-old guy who is drunk is standing there with some woman and says to the woman, "Hey, look, a nigger." My daughter says, "What?" And he says, "You heard me." And then he looks to the girl he's with and goes, "Go kick her ass." And my daughter says, "I'll kick your ass right now." And the girl goes, No, excuse him, he's drunk. And she started to approach the guy, and then like the people jumped in between. And I was like, "Hey, kid, I told you might enjoy that stuff on the radio, but this is some of the most retrograde elements in the, you ever have that to deal with?" I said, "Not if they're not immediately followed by fisticuffs, because I'm not offended by it. But I understand it's just somebody trying to communicate poorly, and what they're trying to communicate is, I'd like to fight with you." And I'll say that. I say, if you want to fight with me, you don't have to degrade the whole enterprise by using language that's beneath both of us. Just say, "I want to fight you." And typically guys at that point will go, "Fuck you," and then it's boom, 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 boom.
Yes.
So
yes.
I've not. I had my oldest. She totaled one car and then smashed up the replacement car a little bit. But other than that, it's been low drama.
See, your whole premise that just because your girls are capable of defending themselves, you don't have to worry. The most worrisome girl I knew as a teen was also the most dangerous girl I knew as a teen. Her parents didn't have to worry about anybody hurting her because this was a small girl, but I saw her get in a fight with a big black girl and beat the fuck out of her, and then picked up a 2x4 and went after her some more. Like, this was a girl I was physically terrified of. I was hopelessly in love with her. She was one of my best friend's little sisters, and he was scary too. And so I was way too terrified to ever try anything, but boy was she scary and crazy, and she gave her parents a lot of grief with the running around.
No, my kids are all. I mean, I have a unique form of parenting.
I'm sure you do.
I picked up from my friend Dr. Steve Ballinger, and he said, I never want to bullshit my kids, so I don't bullshit my kids. I treat them like I treat my best friends. I'm not lying to you. I'm not hitting you. Never spanked my kids. I don't. But I'll give them the straight scoop, which has caused some problems in school.
I would imagine so.
Where they said, your daughter is giving our daughter nightmares with stuff she's telling them.
Oh, I did that when I was a kid too. Yeah. Yeah.
And I finally say, "Hey, kid, the stuff we talk about, you can't be telling these little dopey kids in your school, So.
Yeah. I was reading a book about the Boston Strangler when I was 10 and going back to school and blabbing about it. there was a kid there who had discovered his sister's body in their swimming pool when he was like 8, came home and found his 16-year-old sister drowned. And so he was a little touchy. I didn't realize, when I was regaling everybody with tales of panty strangulations. Anyway, so, all right. So, on to the fights. And speaking of the devil, talking about early death, flyweight Ian McCall and John Lineker. This is a scrap we care about.
That's a care. That's a care.
Yeah. Ian McCall, the Andy Dick of MMA. Like, I wouldn't party with this cat.
Then he had that thing with his ex-wife. His response
ex-wife
was
and
great.
Mayhem were on Twitter fussing and feuding the other week.
That was great. And they went to him for a response. He was like, I ain't got nothing to do with that shit. I love his response. It was like, man, I got off that horse a long time ago. Please leave me out of it. So
Indeed. That was a wise call from Mr. McCall, because that did not look like a happy, fun scene, man. No. And so
that guy McCall used to fight. He used to fight down here in Central Valley, Tachi Palace fights, man. I was looking at this post back before he had the hair and the mustache. You guys on the don't care list, get yourself a cool mustache and a cool haircut, man. It'll work wonders for your fight career.
It did. Ian McCall and John Lineker both. These guys can scrap. Yep. Lineker's a knockout artist, and McCall is a very well-rounded, very tough dude. I can only imagine these tiny guys, because these are guys that are significantly smaller than me. Like, they must run into all kinds of situations in their lives where people have no idea what they're fucking dealing with when they're fucking with this tiny little man.
Well, I saw Jake and Gil deal with something like that in the Mission one night. It was pretty great.
Jake Shields and Gil Melendez?
Yeah, so and some football players walking down Valencia Street, and bump into them, and it's like, Jake and Gil, oops, excuse me. And the big guys are like, yeah, fuck you. Well, hey, man, you should probably let it go. And the big football players should have known that they were in trouble when the biggest guys in the group just sat on cars to watch.
Yes, that's what they call a tell.
That's a tell, man. You should know. And then, literally about 13 seconds later, one guy was knocked out and one guy was choked out. Strangely enough, Jake was the guy who knocked the guy out, and then Gil was the guy who choked the guy out. And the third guy, it was 3 football players. The third guy was just like, okay, I'm cool.
I bet he was.
And I almost jumped in there. That was like the part where I was almost like going to jump in and go, you're cool, not until we write ass wipe on your forehead, then you're cool. But having already done that once before, I decided not to repeat the episode. I always want to improve,
I see. It's very heroic of you to come in and play. What's the guy from Friday that comes in and jumps in? You got your ass kicked. Chris Tucker. Yeah.
Oh, Chris Tucker, $20 million man, Chris Tucker. Yes.
Yeah. Eugene S. Robinson starring as Chris Tucker in the street fight with Gil Melendez and Jake Shields. All right, so Ian McCall, John Lineker. This is a fight we have to make a pick for, Eugene. And a real pick, not an imaginary.
Get out of here. Well, since I didn't talk about this on my show, all of the picks will stand except for the headline pick, which I may have talked about on my show.
Okay.
So I'm going to go, man. I think McCall's gotten too comfortable losing. Seriously, I think you get it in your blood and you just get too. So I'm gonna pick Lineker.
Going with Lineker, huh? McCall's got a 2-fight win streak, and Lineker only has the 1 loss to Ali Bagnatov and Lewis. He's only got 2 losses in his UFC run. This is a very tough pick. Style, I got to go with McCall just to make it interesting. And style-wise, I think McCall has the edge. He's more well-rounded. I think he's got better stamina. But I do get where I respect your psychological take on McCall, perhaps.
Yep.
I think Lineker thinks he's got a title shot ahead of him more so than McCall does. But up next,
that's what I'm factoring in as well.
So far, I'm pretty impressed with this preliminary card. Like a lot of times when they've got a big headliner, they kind of water it down. But this one's pretty good. All right, so middleweights. I guess I've already done that 3 times this month. So we're due for a fairly stacked card. All right, so middleweights, Ed Herman and Derek Brunson.
Ed Herman, another brother team, right?
Yep, Team Quest, right? A brother team? What brother, Ed Herman?
Oh, he's not brothered with Dave?
Pee Wee Herman? No way, man. Are you kidding me? I think Ed Herman would slap you for that.
The Pee-wee's been in my head because of the whole bust and getting out of jail.
Boy, was that a masterpiece of how to get yourself arrested or what? Like, normally you're driving on the highway with your wife and baby, and you have some car trouble. You should be fairly, and you're a white guy, you should be fairly comfortable with the police. Like, look, I'm not scary. You know, like, just pull over, tell them, hey, can you help me get to the gas station? My headlights won't stay on. You know, officer, I got the baby in the car. It's cold. Please help. Instead, dumbass drives 3 miles with the cars behind him, goes to the gas station, jumps out of the car, and says, hey, I'm 6'5" and scary. And
he probably didn't say that. In all fairness,
he showed it. That was a tell. That was a show, not a tell. Like, the dude is scary. Dude is big and scary and fearless.
Yeah.
And then he jumps out quoting some law he apparently made off the top of his head. I need to see 3 forms of ID. It's not a fucking bank loan, dumbass. It's an arrest. Like, you don't need to. They got the badges. They got the badge numbers. They got the guns and the tasers.
They got the guns and they got the numbers.
Exactly. So anyway, he managed to parlay that into getting himself tased and getting his wife and baby sitting in the cold with the windows down for hours. So yeah, bad.
You know, black folks all over America, like, they're like, what? You do know I mean, we appreciate it and all, but you do know you're white, right? You could have just said, you know, I got a bunch of crack in the back. I'm cooking up some meth. I didn't want it to get cold. So I just, oh, really? All right, Mr. Herman, have a good night.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, use the white privilege, cracker. That's, you know.
You got it. You got it. Flaunt it, baby.
Yeah, exactly. So
there was a guy who got pulled over for driving in the carpool lane, solo in the carpool lane. And they said, he goes, what are you pulling me over for? I said, sir, you're solo in the carpool lane. He goes, I'm not solo. I got 2 people in the car. And at that point, the cop hears, they open the trunk. He's got 2 kidnap victims in the trunk.
That's what you call double dipping right there. That's just pushing your luck.
Yeah, this is a guy super unclear, man, on every kind of concept, you know?
That's like a guy driving an 18-wheeler down the carpool lane and being like, "Hey, I'm human trafficking back here. I got 70 illegals."
That's right. And I'm in a hurry. Come on.
Yeah, some of these people I might lose more than 1 or 2 pieces of inventory if we don't get them out of the heat here.
Right. It's like, come on, man. But you know.
That's brutal. All right, so Ed Herman and Derek Brunson. So we care, even though you think that Ed Herman's Dave Pee Wee Herman's brother. I mean, really? Come on.
Hey, man. Hey, you like this early in the morning with my evenings ending as they have been with painkillers and muscle relaxers. You're lucky I'm doing anything right.
I appreciate that you're showing up for the show, but come on, turn the noggin on. What kind of painkillers?
I'm noting now, Lineker and
I picked McCall. Oh, you're noting your picks, Lineker, and who are you picking in this one? And you also need to pick on Natal versus Watson. Is King Kong gonna
end? I picked Watson.
You pick what? I got to pick Watson too, man. I cannot pick Natal. He's just frustrated me too much. All right, so Ed Herman, Derek Brunson. We care. Team Quest guy. Care. And Derek Brunson's had sort of. I mean, he fought Chris Lytle. He's had sort of a bad luck run. I'm kind of rooting for him to turn it around. But Ed Herman's had some bad luck too.
Yeah.
So
I know. I have a worse feeling about Herman.
Yeah, he's 34, and he doesn't have. He's no Randy Couture.
Yeah. Yeah, so. Those Team Quest guys changed my life, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, they don't. Despite Henderson and Randy Couture training, fighting forever. When those Team Quest guys fall off the table, ask Matt Lindland.
How do you like that whole Henderson 2-step? Man, you stopped the fight too soon. You stopped the. And everybody's like, oh, Dan's still a gamer. He doesn't need to retire. Oh, he almost lost his eyeball.
And he still doesn't think he needs to retire. Yeah, it was, old Dan. He's, somebody, I don't know. It's not my place to tell Dan Henderson what to do, but.
He said it best when he said, look, when I see the other guy putting his hands down and point to the ref about my eye, I knew I was in trouble.
And yet, he didn't know he was in trouble. He wanted to keep fighting. So.
Yeah, like fighting some guy who was clothed. Hey,
Yes.
why does my opponent have pants on? Oh,
What are you talking about? This is a non sequitur. Even I can't keep up with you on.
you're wrestling the ref.
Of course, full clothes, not just shorts.
Yeah,
yeah. Anyway, I went full Monty in my mind, and it was.
I got to explain the jokes to you. It's okay. It's early.
Yeah, that's nothing new, but so.
Why is Austin such a miserable place to fucking work, man? I saw that article you put up.
Well, that's because the expenses are high and the pay is low. This town's never really had an industrial base other than a brief time when the Dell factory was
What about
booming
Texas
in the 90s.
Instruments?
That never had a strong presence here. Their factories were always in Dallas and stuff.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, Austin was like an unemployed person's town for a long time. Now it's the playground of the rich. As I'm watching Leavenworth being built next door to me, they're putting the final touches on this hideous monstrosity next door as I speak.
I'm guessing it's a prison, given the fact that you called it Leavenworth.
It looks like Leavenworth. It's a giant gray building that fills up the entire horizontal space of the lot, and has big blank gray walls facing the streets. And then there was this.
Designed to be what?
It's a personal home. And from the back, I can see in our windows and see that it's a brightly lit, festive house on the inside, but the front-facing side is just ghastly, and they cut down all the trees. So it's like Mr. T moving into the neighborhood, just clear cutting. Anyway, that's enough.
Did Mr. T do that?
In Chicago, he moved out to some exclusive Chicago suburb, and immediately cut down all the ancient oaks and chestnuts on his lot because of his allergies, Eugene.
Really?
Really, yes.
That's
or allegedly. I mean,
depressing. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so Ed Herman and Derek Brunson. You're picking Brunson?
Yes.
I too got to pick Brunson. All right. Women's bantamweight: Miesha Tate and Sarah McMahon.
Miesha Tate is spending less time trying to convince me she's sexy. She's sending me fewer emails with her in bikinis in various states of undress. But, I think I'm going to have to say that Miesha Tate is probably the first female entrant to the Lost Battalion.
Yeah, she's 2 losses to Ronda Rousey, and
so she's just bumping around in the division, kind of,
But she's fighting Sarah McMahon, who's also on the verge of the Lost Battalion. There should be some frisson there, some desperation. Somebody is going to stay relevant, and somebody.
Okay, well, first of all, I think we can say we care.
Yes, absolutely, we care. Also, did you hear Sarah McMahon's no longer giving autographs because she's pissed that fans are selling their autographs on eBay?
That's Tate.
No, Tate. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Tate. Did I say McMahon?
Yeah,
Miesha Tate's the one that's not selling her. Nobody wants Sarah McMahon's autograph. Sorry.
Yeah, you know what? Somebody said, some actor said about a young actor, "Oh, you're getting tired of being bothered on the streets? Try to do 2 or 3 bad movies in a row. You'll have all the anonymity you want."
Exactly. The fans. I won't be showing up with my giant picture of Misha's butt wanting an autograph right across the.
You know what? I just can't. You know what? I have a hard time with the attempt to sexify fighters, man. I mean, it goes to show you. I'm a postmodern man. It's like I'm not. Oh yeah, baby. She's a fighter. I'm not saying she's become genderless. I understand she's a woman fighter, but I'm not thinking when I'm watching her fight. I'm not like, oh, look at those titties. I'm watching a fighter, man.
It's true. I too am watching a fight, but sometimes it's still photos come back, and Miesha Tate's particularly, what's the word, calipigious. I might have mispronounced
Good word for you kids who didn't do well on the SAT. He's talking about her ass.
Yes, it's a big, curvy one. And so some of those shots you see her in, as an editor who profits off of idiots' puerile interest, I've frequently tried to sneak in an inappropriate Miesha Tate pic.
Well, you know what? If you didn't break into her house or her phone and steal the photo, she wants you to see it. So
yeah, well, these were photos taken in fights, so she actually had no control over how she's presented there. Her crotch flying across the cage as she gets thrown.
See, now you're doing the exact thing that I never do. I'm not like, I'm not. I don't know. I'm just not.
That's why you don't run one of the biggest MMA websites out there, Eugene. That's why.
You mean your computer karate magazine?
Electronic.
Your electronic
karate magazine.
Karate magazine. So yeah, I care about this fight, but I don't think I can comfortably pick Sarah McMahon. I don't get a.
She's a gicta.
She's a gicta, man.
Or is she a gict or a gicta?
She's a girl I can't trust anymore. So
Anymore,
gigs,
not just trust. So
same.
anymore
Guy
is
or girl?
worse. Yeah.
No, I don't say she's a gift. She's a
A
gift.
gict.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, I can't trust her either. But she's got the skill set.
So
She goes
what?
right into Misha Tate's wheelhouse, and she's the better wrestler. However, I feel like Tate's got more draw, more resourcefulness. I think Misha Tate wants to maintain herself at that Rich Franklin level and not
Yep.
slide. She wants to be the female Uriah Faber, not just slide back into the pack.
Yep.
This is a tough one because I think McMahon has the skill set to beat her stylistically. I don't know. I don't know. I'm
I
gonna
don't
pick.
know is not a pick.
Let me. I don't even have a coin
Why
here.
don't you try standing at the betting window in Vegas and go, I don't know.
Let me. I don't even have a coin. The kids steal all my fucking change. I don't know. I was gonna coin toss. Huh?
Get used to that.
Yeah, I know. My kid does this one thing where he'll come to me and he's like, "Hey, I've got three quarters and two dimes and a nickel. Can you give me a dollar bill?" And I'm like, "Sure." And then I put the change back where I put my change and realize that he's just stealing that change again. And it's just like my dollar bill's going to his safe though. He's got a little safe.
See, it worked the opposite with my kids. I was like, "Hey, kid, you broke my thing." She said, "Well, yeah." I go, "Okay, give me your piggy bank, please." Everything. There was a fee for everything.
Wow, that's a
Hey,
good
did you
idea.
read that magazine article I gave you? Well, I haven't got. Give me 50 cents. Give it to me right now.
That's good. We have fined Dash once over something he did in the bath. Oh, he poured all the soap out, the fancy shampoo, Rose's fancy shampoo into the bathtub, and so he had to buy that. Yeah, he had to buy that bottle back. But that's and here he is, Zane Simon, replacing Patrick Wyman, who's got a dissertation. Zane Simon's here to tell us about any sweet little nuggets we missed on the prelims. But I gotta say, Zane,
he just fucking popped in, man. That was totally frightening. I'm like,
that's why I don't warn you about these things. I wanted to see you scared, but
that was worth it.
I gotta warn you, Zane. We actually know everybody on the Fox Sports 1 card pretty well. So tell us any nuggets on the Fight Pass card.
I feel like I'm here more just to shit on you guys for caring about all this crap.
You're the one that's supposed to be young and hungry and caring about every fight.
Exactly. It's the other way around.
You're saying this is the island of lost toys and these people should just be put out to pasture. Ed Herman?
McCall Lineker is a great fight, and Derek Brunson's pretty awesome. Sarah McMahon could still get back to a title shot. Beyond that, I'm not what am I looking at?
You're not feeling anything.
Not going anywhere.
So Thiago Santos, is he or is he not the most boring guy in the UFC today?
No, not even close.
Not even close. He's not the king of the Brazilian lamprey. Who is that? Who is the guy I'm thinking of?
You're maybe thinking of Hani Marcos?
No, Hani Marcos is kind of fun.
What?
I kind of like Hani Marcos.
Hani Marks, rather.
Yeah, Marks.
King of the Brazilian lamprey. Prazeres or Alcantara?
No, it's not the Alcantara brothers I associate with action. I was pretty sure.
Not the bigger one.
He's not fun?
No.
We knew he was the lesser of the two brothers. We did know that, I have to say. So there's no nuggets here. So your whole appearance is just...
He couldn't beat Uriah Hall with a broken toe, and he beat Hani Marks with a pretty sweet body kick, but, I mean, there's nothing to really inspire there, and Andy Enns is not somebody that's going to show anything. I don't know. I mean, that's just not a fun fight.
I see. And so Moira and Alcantara, there's no juice there?
Moira got knocked out in 8 seconds in his UFC debut by...
Could happen to anybody.
Yeah, by one of the Brazilian heavyweights from Tough Brazil 3 in...
As a light heavyweight or not? Surely not as a middleweight.
They were heavyweights for the fight, but everybody on that show at heavyweight has dropped to light heavyweight or middleweight. Not one fighter stayed at heavyweight. So 80% of them dropped to middleweight, and that's where Moreira is Rick Monstro.
I see. So who are you picking in the Alcantara Moreira fight?
Alcantara. He's way more experienced. He was a huge welterweight. This is his first fight back to middleweight, and he's a much better fighter at this point in his career. Monstra is just kind of a guy, and he's not a young guy.
I see. All right, so Brandao Hedis.
Got a great name.
He does.
Hey.
Brandao Hedis is like, I mean, that's not a terrible fight. It should be a fun fight. I'll say that for it. It should be fun. But
that's what we're here for.
I mean, Hedis is kind of the prospect that everybody was really high on Hedis for a little bit, thought he was going to be great. And then he lost an ugly fight to Marcus Brimage, and then Dennis Bermudez treated him like his older uncle, putting him in a headlock and just threw him around the cage for a while. So,
but Brandao had.
I thought you were they treated him like his older uncle and molested him.
God. See, I'm on the wrong show. I know now.
Patrick Wyman just takes
we have not mentioned we have not mentioned gangbangs yet at all.
Or
so you're on the right show.
Or Nazis. Okay, well,
I mentioned Nazis the whole episode.
To the molestation. I don't know that. I mean, the thing with the fight like this is you basically have two guys you can't trust. You have a guy in Hedis who is.
On the other hand, you got two guys fighting for redemption, and the winner is going to have another chance. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, they both might have another chance in the way the UFC is today. I think Brandao's the guy who's really got that long look to take because he's the one that if he loses, he could be gone, and he's fought for long enough that he might not be back.
Let's see. Yep. Yeah, he's coming off 2 knockouts from Poirier and McGregor too. So.
Yeah, and he's got the kind of crazy attitude that's like fun and promotable, but it might also be like fun and we really don't want you around because you've threatened to stab other people with a pen.
You know what?
Go ahead.
Getting cut might not be that bad. Somebody like one of you guys should do a piece on these guys like 10 years after. Like what constitutes Nate Quarry's day outside of suing the UFC? Are these guys really I mean, I can see that Chuck Liddell would still like to be in there, but outside of him, are these guys really sitting at home going, man, I should take another run, or I wish I had, or could I? Is Christmas
cut and retired, or cut and fight for another 5 years on the $500 a night circuit?
Yeah, like Leonard Garcia, man.
Pick a Chris Lieben. What's his day constituted with?
I can't. Apparently, right now it's talking to a stenographer and getting his book writ.
That should be a fun one. That should be a fun read. I think Chris Lieben's probably had some fun. All right, Zane. Final thoughts on the card globally.
Like the undercard's just. I'm excited for one fight, and that's it.
And that's McCall Lineker.
Yeah, McCall Lineker is going to be the one fight.
And what's your pick? What's your pick?
I'm going to go with Lineker.
Answer the question!
It's like cross-examination. Because I think he has the style to draw McCall into the fight that he shouldn't take.
Yes, I can see that. And Lineker hits very hard and can punish him if he gets baited into a brawl.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's
clear. That's two. That's Zane and I have both chosen Lineker at this point.
Yeah, I kind of went with
Zane and I also both chose Rumble last week, it should be noted.
I picked Rumble too.
I don't remember this.
Yes. We've been through this already.
Oh,
and you picked Gus on my show.
Yes,
so you picked both guys. And I think if Gus had won, you might have been crowing about your care don't care pick. That's the thing.
No, I would not have actually.
I see. I like your claims of integrity, but the fans have seen the show. All right, Zane. Well, thanks. Please, Zane Simon on Twitter. Everybody is coming in to give us a little bit of the facts as he pays more close attention than we do to the lower levels of him. We are back. That fucking idiot Zane Simon earned his nickname once again, turning off the whole show in what was supposed to be a 5-minute guest appearance, and now we're under the gun because we've got like 8 minutes to do the whole main card. So, welterweights Jordan Main and Thiago Alves.
I care.
Me too. Jordan Main or Alves, who's your pick?
Main.
Me too. Alves is too old. Been there, done that. Middleweights Talis Leites and Tim Boach. Bad luck, Boach.
Bad luck, Boach. I care. Gonna go with Leites.
Me too. I think Ladies is hot. Boch is not. I got to go with Ladies. Lightweights, Joe Lozon. And
it's been a long time since I jumped on Brazilian nuts, so there I'm going for it.
Yeah, it's a good call. Joe Lozon and Al Iaquinta.
Love Lozon picking Iaquinta.
Yeah, Iaquinta's he's iffy. Lozon has a chance because he's the savvy veteran, but
in my mind, Iaquinta was one of those guys who moved from don't care to care for me.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Iaquinta is hot stuff. And speaking of hot stuff, welterweight Tyrone Woodley and Kelvin Gastelum.
I'm going to go with Kelvin on this one.
It's the mega care. This is a big fight.
It's a mega care, but I've been hearing too much clubhouse cancer from fucking Tyrone Woodley, man. Hold it down, shut the fuck up and fight, you know. I mean, yeah, you're right.
You're hearing this, what he's saying publicly, or this is sources
you have? No, publicly. It's like, you know what, to watch the Super Bowl and to tweet intelligently about the Super Bowl, I have to have played pro ball. I mean, I appreciate where you're coming from, man. You'd like the fans to be a little bit more polite, but you gotta understand that's polite is not where we are, you know?
No, the fans get to have their say.
Polite is what you get in the hotel lobby when some guy comes up to you and you can put your hands on him, but you're not hands over the internet. It's not gonna fucking happen, man. It's not happening. No. So, you know, you don't like it? Like the guy said, there are plenty of places to go when you want anonymity.
Absolutely. You fight, we talk. That's the deal. Yeah. And the fighters can talk, too. They're out there on Twitter having their say, and he's had his say, and it's sort of been revealed to have been stupid. But it is what it is. And I got to pick Gastelum here.
Yeah, me too. I mean, you know, you haven't heard much from him, have you? You know why?
He's been keeping his nose to the grindstone and keeping his
focusing on what we also call focusing on the right things.
Exactly. Focusing on the fight, respecting your opponent by preparing, keeping your mouth shut, your head down, and getting ready.
Well, I think Woodley is cursed with this idea, the very sneaking suspicion, you know, it's like the frog in the pot that's boiling, that, hey, maybe I'm not in any kind of title hunt.
That might be. And ducking Hector Lombard was just not fun. I mean, it didn't make anybody like him. But there's a fight very recently where a veteran where Don Cerrone, who did Cerrone just beat? The kid that he fought before he fought Benson Henderson, where we both picked the kid because he was undefeated and we thought he was hot.
Oh, yeah. That kid who really broke my what the fuck was his name now?
Yeah.
Oh God, it's good.
I'm pulling it up. I'm pulling it up at internet speed, and it is Miles Jury.
Miles Jury. Miles not ready for primetime Jury. So
So I think Gastelum though is much more ferocious than Jury.
Yep. Yeah, I'm perfectly comfortable picking Gastelum on this one.
Yeah. So so now we get to the main event: Anderson Silva and Nick Diaz.
Woo! Man, oh man! Like I said, there are, you know, both of these guys, by getting in that cage, have already won. You know, Nick Diaz has been super respectful because it's like, I'm fighting a fighter, man. I'm fighting a guy who's possibly the greatest of all time. You know, and Nick said some great things. He was like, I don't want to fight Anderson Silva. Do you want to fight Anderson Silva? Yeah. You know, this is going to be a very tough fight, but I like challenging myself. So, I mean, the thing is, you know, we're looking at this. I don't think anybody out there is really expecting Nick to win, because if Nick wins, Nick, friend of Knuckle Up, if Nick wins, it means Anderson Silva's done, right?
Pretty much. That would be 3 losses in a row, and this would be a loss to a guy he is absolutely supposed to beat, a welterweight,
right,
who's stylistically made to lose to Anderson Silva, a guy whose kryptonite is leg kicks.
Yep.
But will Anderson Silva be coming out there and throwing leg kicks after what we saw against Chris Weidman?
Yeah, you know, but I don't think there are any losers here unless Anderson Silva loses. I think if Nick Diaz loses, it's not, you know, people love Diaz. You know, he's an old school fighter, and you know how many fights did Randy Couture lose that people still think of him as a killer? You know, and I'm talking about all through his career. I'm not talking about the end of it, the ass end of it. You know, a loss to Anderson Silva on Nick Diaz's is not career-ending on Nick Diaz's resume, because where else is he going to go? Is he going to fight? Who's he going to fight? You know, he's going to fight the dude, not Oh my God,
Come on,
age.
anybody.
Who beat Hendricks? Robbie Lawler. Who's he gonna
Robbie
fight?
Lawler.
Is he gonna fight Robbie Lawler? If he
Not anytime
wins,
soon.
yeah. I mean, yeah. So it's. I think it's tailor made. It's a good show.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you have good fights. Sometimes you have a good show. This will be a good show, and I'm gonna have to. I know it makes me seem nut jumpery, but I think the money move on this is Anderson Silva, because now he's talking about the rematch with Weidman, which is talk that people really. I mean, that I said the only door back for him in MMA is through Weidman. That's a fight that people really want to see, and it's got the perfect making of a Rocky story, you know.
And it's big doings in Brazil. I mean, apparently the Brazilian fans only want to watch championship fights. And so when Anderson was making noise about he didn't want to fight for the title anymore, his sponsors were like, forget you, Jack, like Burger King and Nike and everybody was just like, that's not what we signed on for. We signed on for Anderson Silva, the champion. And so he's kind of being forced by business interests to do things he doesn't want to do. But, hey, who isn't? Like, I'm you know, I mean, as much as I enjoy this, it is a great job, but
we don't want you to get Arthur Godfrey.
That's indeed. Now there's a reference nobody is going to get. Like,
well, we already talked about it 2 shows ago, so they should. I know.
Yes, and they should learn about Arthur Godfrey, who also made a cameo in a psychedelic San Francisco band's second album, Moby Grape. He introduces the only album that came out with a track on 78. The whole album was on 33, and the last track was on 78. Somebody at Columbia Records had too much money. That's neither here nor there. But Diaz, though, has a history. Look at Diaz's greatest fights. Knocking out Robbie Lawler. Submitting Takanori Gomi. Those are the fights that made Nick Diaz, and those are both long odds fights that he won when nobody expected him to win.
Well, that's why this is why it's such a great fight, because nobody expects Nick to go out and dog it. He is, you know, I love, you know, Anderson Silva too, but somehow if Anderson Silva loses, I think it just goes down a lot better for fans than if his swan song is, you know, that horrible leg-breaking loss to Chris Weidman, you know.
Yeah. If he's just a little bit, and the thing is, at his age and after the injury, he could be that shade slower that makes all the difference. Yeah. And you know, Chris Weidman says the reason that Anderson Silva had so much trouble with him was because of Weidman's reach, and that he wasn't used to fighting a guy with longer reach. Now, Nick Diaz isn't going to have longer reach, but he's got pretty long reach, and so he, you know, it's not some stubby little Tyrannosaurus arm dude that Silva's fighting here. But stylistically, like, Nick just has refused to deal with lateral movement. He's refused to learn how to cut off the cage. He's refused to deal with leg kicks. Those are all Anderson Silva's go-tos. It's just hard to see Nick getting the punches and bunches rhythm going on Anderson.
Yeah, I agree. But it's going to be a great fight, and I don't think any guy loses by. Well, I don't think Nick loses by losing it, and I don't think he's going to try to lose. I don't think he's resigned.
No, I think he's got to do better than Nate Diaz, than his brother Nate did in his last fight, where he just went out there and had nothing for Rafael dos Anjos. I mean, that was embarrassing and no fun. And I don't see Silva. If it turns in, I don't see Silva. Like, you're not going to run around and do Nick Diaz the way you do. Who was the guy that he clowned on? Talis Lidas was one, and Maia.
Well, that's what he came out and said. What I had said before he said it, which is like, I could tell he doesn't like fighting fucking Brazilians. He doesn't like doing it, man.
Except Vitor Belfort.
Yeah, who we hated.
Did you see what he said about Chris Weidman and Vitor Belfort fighting each other?
No, what he said.
Maybe they'll both lose.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, you got, you know, for me, a lot of times it's the sub chatter that gets more interesting. Like, I don't know. It took a while for people to get with the tweeting and deleting John Jones what he had done to Gustafsson. People like, you know, grumbles like, that's pretty low. Stepped on a man when he's down. And so John had to, like, you can feel him sighing, explaining to people, you got to understand, that's what he did to me. That's why I did it. Yeah. No.
Yep.
But it's like the sub games that I love. You know, it's great. Maybe they'll both lose. What a great comment. You know.
Indeed. That's the one sad thing about this fight, though, is that Nick Diaz likes Anderson Silva and respects him, so you're not seeing the shit talk.
It's all right. It's all right. Nate pushed us to the limit of our, you can talk that talk, but please walk the walk. So the guy's got to, what I'm saying is I enjoyed Nick before, and I'm enjoying him now. It shows that he just doesn't, this is not one trick ponyage. It's on a fight by fight basis. This is a serious fucking fight. He's fighting a man, and not some, tobacco chewing cowboy hat, guy who doesn't know what money is. He's got ample reason to respect Anderson Silva.
And Anderson Silva is not a wrestler, so that's the thing that sets Nick Diaz off. Is he hates wrestlers. He's not somebody who wins with elbows on the ground. Another pet peeve of Nick Diaz.
Like Tommy told us, we gonna try to lay on your problems for 25 minutes, homie.
Exactly.
25 minutes. That's great. I wish it was that easy, man. I wish I could lay on my problems for 25 minutes and have them go away.
I've always been a guy to confront my problems, but I've watched people who sometimes turtle up and ignore their problems, and I've seen that work for people pretty well.
Hey, I tried to tell my kids yesterday, in fact, there's another one of their classmates committed suicide. I said, hey, there's no problem so big. No, it's happened 5 times in the last month, man. People are like, at this point, oh, shit, okay. I said, there's no problem big enough that you can't run away from it.
Exactly. like just wait it out, kids. These problems are going to go away and not seem particularly serious.
The kid who killed himself was a senior, man. Senior.
Was there gunplay involved, or were there pills?
Based on my ex-wife was driving by and saw the ambulances and stuff out, because he lives near the high school outside, and based on the time of death, he was found pretty soon after. So I would say it was something that happened. It wasn't it takes a while for pills to kill you. It takes a while if you cut your wrist. So I'd say it was either a hanging or a shooting.
Man, the guns, man. Get them out of your house, especially if you got troubled teens around. That's just the statistical odds are not good on guns.
Well, you know what? I mean, they talk about situations. My kid was saying that's all this kid ever talked about. He was always depressed.
Suicide or guns?
He was depressed. He was like, man, I'm depressed. And people were like, whatever,
Well, sometimes the rest of the herd doesn't care. That's that's the sad thing. I mean, everybody thinks, oh, I'll cry for help and somebody will hear me and save the day, but a lot of times it's just like, let it go.
That's why I'm so vocal about my crying for help.
That's why I'm drinking my tea and not listening.
Because I don't want anybody to show up at my funeral and go, oh my God, if we had only known that he had no toilet paper, we would have helped.
How many concept albums about your woes have you done now? Like
every single one.
You're in like the double digits on
yeah, man. I'm closing at a solid 50 of every.
Yeah, I mean there was a young and angry phase early on, but you moved into trouble a good 15 years. Shit.
Well,
20 years ago.
I haven't.
It was depressing when you announced that your daughter was 18, and I did the math on how long ago that was, and it was only 1996, and I was like, God damn.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Well, hey, and that's you. Think about me living with that.
I know. For me, 96 was the salad days. For you, you were already old in 96.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Thanks.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Just in case you forgot, I'll text you at 4 in the morning to remind you, too. Hey, are you still old? Yeah, I guess you are. Hey, I had a guy training with me today go, man, I really hurt my back last week. I mean, so much. When do you know me to take 6 days off? I take time off. He's like, yeah. And so we did gi. So he grabs across the gi. He's using it as a lever, and he takes the bone of his forearm, and he's like jamming it in my teeth. My lip is fucking swollen and bleeding now. But, it's what we call EJJ. It had the desired effect. I flipped out. And like, I got out of it.
Good. I'm glad to hear they're not taking it easy on the old man.
No, in fact, I actively advocate you are going too hard on me. They go, oh, no, go, you pussy, you're going too hard, and that gets you.
Yep. Well, good to hear. All right, final thoughts on Silva versus Diaz.
I'm going to be having an Anderson Silva marathon. I'm going over to a frequent commenter's house. That's right. Comment enough, and Eugene S. Robinson will show up at your house.
Eat your food and watch your TV.
And then leave after contributing nothing.
Your charming presence.
Right, hey, that's worth something, you know.
You should bring a camera crew and film that shit, Eugene. That'd be a great show.
My camera crew. Yeah, here's my camera crew. There's my camera crew.
What more do you need? It's the modern wonders of technology, Eugene.
No, I will. I had intended to do some of that, so you could see me sit on the couch and go, oh yeah, more chips. Oh, thanks, man, thanks.
Is this the only beer you got?
Yeah, that's right. Oh, is this the last piece of salmon? You guys don't want this.
I don't like Oreos. Can somebody run to the store and get a different kind of cookie?
Big news. This is why I don't get invited places. But that's right. I come to your house. Believe it.
Wow, these are awesome. Big break for a lucky fan. You know?
Just don't kill me and put me in the trunk. That's all.
That's just kill you and leave you in the street.
That's right, where I can be found.
Yeah, that's. Please let my kids know I'm dead. Like that's all I ask.
Yeah, there you go. You know? I will avenge your death though, so you can count on that from me.
Excellent.
Unless your wife kills you, then you're on your own.
Well, you know, my wife's a DA. If she kills me, I expect it would be very well planned.
Yeah.
And seamlessly executed. So
you should stop talking about that right now.
Yeah, well, no, it's a cry for help. Like
cry for help. Yeah, you would be. A buddy of mine has a date today with a woman who is 5'4" and 210 pounds.
Wow.
And he said, "I think this is a cry for help." And I said, "I think you're right, but you won't get any help from me. Let me know how it goes."
Is this his public outing himself as a chubby chaser?
He was outed a long time ago.
I see. Well, I'm glad, more power to him. Everybody needs love. So, all right, Eugene. Well, I think we've blathered on about the show. Zane Simon is deeply sorry and is going to have to learn how to edit 2 YouTube videos together to fix this mess. So that's why we call him that fucking idiot, despite him knowing too much about MMA. Yes. He learns a life lesson every time he comes on the show. All right. So, remember...
I like it. He's got a new hip haircut. That guy is coming up in the world.
They call it Zane Simon's lesbian haircut in the comments. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He should, being that it's a lesbian haircut, he should be able to bag himself a nice bisexual woman any day now.
Hey, he's married, so, I don't even want to speculate.
To a woman?
To a woman, yes. And a homo. Kid's got a... So,
Wow.
Yeah. So, anyway, all right. Remember, give us a thumbs up on YouTube, subscribe to MMANation.com, follow us on Twitter, @KidNate, @Eugene S. Robinson, and if you want to hear more from that fucking idiot, @TheZane Simon, read us on BloodyElbow.com. You can read Eugene at Aussie.com, or sometimes, in the old days, Vice's Fightland, back when they paid him, or promised to pay him when he still believed him. And we'll be back with the Vivisection tomorrow, and Eugene will be back with Knuckle Up. Zane and I will have 6 rounds after the fights. Forward and onward. Adios, MMA aficionados. We'll see you next time.
Later.